I'm Rachel Scott.
I'm Arthur Scott.
And we're the Scott family. We had both been in the Air Force. We both grew up in the same small town in Indiana. We got out of the Air Force, moved back home, and that's how we met. We had a great wedding. We wanted to start a family right away. We tried for a year and a half after the wedding. We decided it was time to go see some specialists to see what was going on. When we went and got our tests done, they told us there's no chance. You guys are not going to get pregnant, and that's devastating when the one thing in the world that you've always wanted to be is a parent. And February 12th, we found out we were pregnant with Vivian. It was a shock. We were having a little girl for sure, and everything was great. We went for one of my checkups to measure everything. We were there and joking with the ultrasound tech, and she kept getting up and leaving the room, and we couldn't figure out why. The next day, I was sitting on the couch. My OB called me and told me, sorry for your loss. Your baby has a condition called hydrops fatalis, and there's no hope. We were coping with this by ourselves. We went to one of those 40 ultrasound places, and they tell us Viv has a one-of-a-kind genetic makeup, that they've never seen anything like it before. They tell us the road that we might have to travel down, and it's a scary one, but they're willing to fight if we're willing to fight, and they tell me you have to make it to 32 weeks pregnant. So this is Vivian. She was born July 24th, 2015 at 10:02 a.m., weighing 3 pounds 4 ounces. Of that weight, a pound was fluid. They tapped into her peritoneal cavity and were drawing fluid out with syringes. The doctor sat us down and she told us she is going to continue to gain fluid. Her bone marrow is going to give out. You guys are going to have to continually dump her fluid. Her lungs were super sick. She was born with scarred lungs, which isn't normal. So we did her tracheostomy. At 6 weeks old, Viv started declining rapidly. We did some research and we found a paper written by a doctor based out of CHOP. It was called Curing the Uncurable. In June of 2017, we packed up our car and we drove 11 hours to Philadelphia. On paper, Viv looks like the sickest of the sick. So when she showed up to their office, smiling, laughing, having a good time, being her, he was shocked. We did some testing, as we all discussed. He took us into a room and he talked to us and he said, I found the leak. I can fix your daughter. What was supposed to be a week-long trip to Philadelphia ended up being almost 2 months long. The decision to move here was rather easy. The logistics was what got us. We were at a airway clinic and they were asking us how we were doing out here. So I was honest with her. I told her we're desperate. Things aren't going well. We can't afford to live here. There were times that I didn't know how Arthur and I were going to be able to eat, and she introduced us to Fred's Footsteps. They paid our rent, which allowed us to get caught up on some of the debt that we incurred over her lifetime so far. Viv had 5 surgeries last year that wouldn't have been possible if we weren't living in Philadelphia. In January of this year, my daughter couldn't even sit up on her own, and now she's starting to take steps. Without Fred's Footsteps, we would have had to tuck tail and head home a long time ago. The hope that you guys are giving a family that is devastated with the unexpected shows a light at the end of that tunnel.
Thank you for coming tonight. Your support and generosity continues to change lives.